Hi, welcome to another episode of the Raw Report. I'm your host, Ryan Jackson Saw. We are bringing you a very special guest today. This is Coodz Mac. Now, you may know him from his R&B songs or from the big protests that have been happening for over a year now at the Adani coal mine. Wonderful guest, and we're going to be speaking about a range of Indigenous issues as well as the upcoming referendum. So, without further ado, this is Coodz Mac.
Give me a couple of minutes so I can explain all this stuff, let me finish. See me all up in your business, let me demonstrate every day I'll be spitting like a llama, charismatic like Obama. Start to make 'em panic just like my father. Eating up Adani like I was famished and I needed a sandwich, I'm starving. Doing damage to your reputation. I'm your baggage and I'm overweighting. I'm a savage and there's no separation. You're stuck here with me, this game's about patience. Stranded assets, expended cash in. You'd imagine, send 'em packing. I'm the captain and you're a pirate. I've decided, next plane you're catching. So call the cops then, and they gon' drop it. Hey, how you going? They know what's poppin', Coodie ain't stoppin'. Have you forgotten that I'm the sovereign? You can't beat me in this situation. Stand back and wait for capitulation. Treaty for land back is my stipulation. I'm waiting today.
Why does a referendum for a voice give precedence to giving land back? Why is land back not first priority? Why do you have to have a referendum to give back what's not theirs? Whatever's been bought and sold, make that the treaty between the people that live in that constituent with that local council, because those local people have elected those people. That's where your basic government comes from, because the people in your area has elected those people. You know, but in regards to like Crown land and national parks and state forest, they need to be given back to traditional owners to be able to take care of them properly. They'll still be open to the public for people to come and see them, because Aboriginal people want to show people, because the more people that know, the more people can protect it. And the more you know, the more you can't unknow. If you start to learn more and you come down this rabbit hole of Aboriginal culture and you submerge yourself into it, you become so attached to your surroundings because you see life within everything. Where we didn't see ourselves at the top of the food chain, we saw ourselves in symbiosis with nature. We're just as equal as we are to the kangaroo or the emu, or to the certain totemic trees that we have in each country around the whole nation.
Remarkably
So
similar to the Buddhist monks. They see things in a very similar way, and it seems to be that ancient wisdom that we have forgotten. We've kind of gone off that track, and now we're trying to dominate and control and enslave everything.
yeah, that's it. Like, I think, the fact that our people in general, as like many nations across this whole continent, have gone through many, many systemic changes that have gone on for thousands and thousands of years. They've had many people coming to this country for a very, very long time. Why did we not adopt these cultures? Why did we there's proof that the Egyptians come here. Why did we not adapt and start to do things? Because we understood what comes with the ramifications of trying to get something. Say you want some golden thing. That means you're going to have to dig the ground up to go and get the gold. And Aboriginal people didn't want to do that. So they just, because you are in with your nature and you have a particular path that you go all year, every year. Same path that your old people took, and you would have food trails, you would have hunting grounds, everything was supplied for you.
Mm.
You know, our home is where we feel the most connected. When I say connected to country, everybody in the world is connected to somewhere in this world through their DNA. And
Mm.
how I mean that is, for instance, with me and my people, I've and my people are eating these fruits and berries from this land in this area that grows endemically here through the plant's DNA, through the microbes that are in the dirt. I eat this stuff. My ancestors have eaten this stuff for thousands and thousands of years. So they've become genetically tied to that area where there's certain microbes, different microbes all over the whole continent, all over the whole world. So
Mm.
everybody, when they'll say, "Oh, I feel home," that is where a lot of the time is their DNA through that is connected through that your environment there.
Mm.
So when it comes to wanting what's right for our people, it's land back. It's
Well,
always been land back. It's been the number one thing, you know what I mean? Like
I've been saying on the show,
we
like it's not just a want or a luxury; it's a need, right?
yeah, exactly. It's something that people feel lost without.
Mm.
And you feel lost when you're caught up in the everyday struggles of the cities. You know, that if you don't have a job, you're landing straight on your face.
Mm.
You know, it's such a hard road to try and make it somewhere in a city, especially like Sydney or somewhere like that, where the rent is really expensive.
Mm. That's
So
cutthroat. It's very cutthroat.
yeah, so suicide rates are on the rise. I guarantee there's probably no suicides back in the day before colonization here
Mm.
because it wasn't something that you thought about.
Mm.
It's the pressures of Western societies that have done it. And, it's trying to create space on country for these people to come back to country and
Mm.
be able to escape the pressures of a Western system without being subjugated from police coming in
Mm.
and or anybody telling them, they can't be who they want to be.
Well, you guys have faced your
So
fair share of that, haven't you? So they've sent security at you guys. They've sent cops at you guys. They've launched media smear campaigns, and you're still standing there a year later. You've been occupying the. Is it Watananga? Watananga, is that right?
what a nungu.
Watananga.
So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, wada means talk.
Mm.
The na suffix makes it talking. So wada na is talking,
Mm.
and then the ungu on the end makes it the. So the talking.
Yeah.
So incorporates all talking from talking to neighboring tribes to talking to tribes far and wide, talking to official government officials that are going to come and hand our land back.
Mm.
It's for non-Indigenous people to come and experience um, culture,
Mm.
experience who we are
Mm.
and what we stand for. And everybody is welcome here. The door is always open here to
Mm.
Watanangu.
Mm.
And we've had all types of people um, come and learn here, which is amazing because they take it back and they become um, avid supporters in the goal that what we're trying to do.
Mm. But just for the people watching, and I haven't heard your story yet, you've been protesting against the Adani mine taking over without permission the traditional lands there, right? There's a Judge John Reeves recently denied land title, and there's basically is would I be correct in saying that there's kind of actors pretending to be the proper land title holders there?
Yeah, so there's been such a whirlwind of attacks on us to try and destabilize us, to the extent that Clive Palmer would pay for an authorization meeting for the Jenga mob to the north of us, the tribe north of us, to put in a claim over half of our country. And then Adani would pay for the lawyers. Graham Carter was their lawyer that would front in the native title court, which was Justice Reeves. He was my dad's judge for 5 federal court cases.
Right.
The same judge throughout all of these cases and the native title. So everything has been a setup the whole way along, because everything is fraudulent. They know that it's fraudulent, and they know that I know that it's fraudulent, because I went to the native title and I said, I'm not going to be a party to this shambolic native title system. I'm just here sitting in this booth to tell you who I am and who my family is and where we come from. I don't care about native title. And that was it. Like, I got up and walked out of the courtroom, and the native title went down. I gave them so much information, which is, I feel terrible now, because I actually gave them too much information that they're going to use against other mobs now to try and discredit them, to say that, well, they don't have any culture.
Well, that's not fair. I mean? These courts are supposed to be about justice. They're supposed to be about fairness and truth and honesty, but they're really not that, are they? They're just a tool of the corporate world now. They're used against the people, especially against the Indigenous people.
Yeah, exactly. Since native title, it's been the biggest land theft since colonization, because the government couldn't have their hands on Crown land. They had to come up with a system called native title, and native title basically strong arms tribes into signing Indigenous land use agreements, because they tell them they'll take it anyway and they'll receive nothing. The same thing as what they said to our people, but we said no twice. As a whole claim group, we said no once in 2012, and then the whole group was like 500 plus people. We all said no, and that was great that day. We all voted not to go back to them, but they paid off a few people in our group to get a majority, to just snooker enough to have enough votes to have an Ilua. But the Ilua that they have is the one in 2016. It was held in Maryborough. At the time, my ex-partner, her mother was sick, and she was from a place called Bosnia in Europe. So I was living in Bosnia at the time, and so I heard that they were holding this meeting. So I contacted Archeo, the service provider that was providing the service to the tribe for travel and accommodation. And so I messaged them and said, I need a one-way flight back from Belgrade, Serbia to Brisbane. Will cost me $1,200. It'll cost $1,400 return from Darwin, which I know you're flying people from. And they sent a message back saying, oh, sorry, Adani doesn't pay for international travels. I'm going to have to pay for the flight myself. I'm like, are you kidding me? I was the only one of the whole tribe that didn't get it, because everybody else in my family, everyone else boycotted the meeting because it was a sham meeting. They all voted to not go back to an agreement with Adani.
Right.
But they gave brown paper bag money to all the applicants and said, each head that you bring here, we'll give you some money, brown paper bags. And so what happened was, they've got this agreement now where it's 297 to 1 or something like that. If you have a look at that Ilua, have you ever seen an agreement like that? 297 to 1. Or 247 to 1, or whatever, 247 to 1, who cares? It's still to 1. Are you serious? You think you got a consensus amongst everybody?
Well, they're obviously paying them off, aren't they? It's clear as day. It's corruption. Yeah.
But considering this happened in 2016, right? In 2000, because this when we first said no, the second time we said no and we're not going back was in 2014. 2015, Anthony Lynham just went and took compulsory acquisition over the mining lease. So he just went and took it. And then so they went back to the mob and said, we need this ILUA signed.
Right.
And so the government was complicit in it because it was the first time in Australian history that they've taken compulsory acquisition for a mining company.
Right.
They've never done it for a mining company before. It's always been for like infrastructure, public infrastructure for roads or hospitals and things like that. So they've done the dirty on us because we all said no in 2014. How come then everyone say yes except for one person in 2016? How did you manage to win everybody back over, Adani? Come on, like it's shady as and
Well, let's have a look at
so
the bigger picture here. Obviously, Australia is shutting down all its coal energy plants, so we don't need the coal here. But let's have a look at China. Now, they've just recently called for 300 million more tons of coal. They're expanding their coal industry. So where do you think that this coal's going to go? They've got some sort of contract locked in with these guys. Sure, no doubt about it.
So the contract. So he's supplying his own power stations, Adani. From the coal from here is supplying his own power stations, but he's also using it to make plastic in a plastics factory.
So
if you couldn't get any worse, you know what I mean? Like, come on, let's make a plastics factory using coal. Yeah.
Couldn't get any more toxic as an industry, could you?
Yeah, like the impacts that he's having on the water table here in regards to there is they're starting to get proof that there's contaminations into Dungabulla Springs, which they thought there wasn't going to happen. But you know, they promised that it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
People don't understand. They don't get the gist of this. If Dungabulla gets poisoned, our water hole gets poisoned because it's the opening to the Great Artesian Basin.
So that's risking the entire Artesian Basin water supply now as well.
Yes.
How many people rely on that? There's
the
a
whole
lot.
country.
The whole
Like,
country.
the whole country will. Eventually, the whole country will. It's one of the biggest water supplies in the whole country. If that gets contaminated, how long do you think that's going to be contaminated for? You know?
Probably forever. Probably forever.
Yeah, exactly. So
there's no way to clean that.
No. And so what's a sorry gonna do? You know, what's a oops, I'll pay a fine. What is that gonna do? You know what I mean?
Damage is done.
So the damage will be done. So that's why I'm here, because anything that I'll find, I'll chop him down on. You know, this man is the 5th richest man in the world. And the people that are funding him is BlackRock. BlackRock is the biggest company in the world, BlackRock Vanguard. So I'm fighting some of the best opponents. You know, why not? Why not? Because somebody has to take them down. You know, how does this guy rise to wealth that fast? You know, without some sort of collapse, and it'll come from this mine. As soon as this mine collapses, his whole wealth just goes implodes. And so he doesn't want to let this go. But the problem is he's interfering with my human right to my native foods, because the blasts that are happening here are blasting over to our side with toxic fumes in it, and we're eating the berries, and it's a health concern, you know. So they've got to figure out how they can do some sort of dust suppressant from stopping from coming this side. Otherwise, they just can't blast no more, because what are they going to do? Like, are you going to keep putting my life in danger? So essentially, I'm aiming for a stop work order, man, because as soon as I can get a stop work order, this company is done for. It'll just collapse. And when it collapses, this property will be turned back to unallocated state land. I'm the last man standing. So this is ours. I'll take all the fences out so the emus can run around and create a sanctuary here. And, make the government push that big hole back in.
Oh, lovely! Yeah, fill it in and repair the land again. So you're from the Wangan and the Wagalingu, if that's pronounced correctly. The nations.
Yeah, Wangan and Yagalingu.
Yeah. So what is the story? What's the history of the people on this land?
Yeah. So all around this area, we were made up of borough groups, and borough groups basically, it's a plural, and the plural basically means a you. You know what I mean? So my great grandmother, she was from this tribe here called the Wagil Borough, and which means eels. Okay. So a Wagil is eel, and Wagil Borough is eels. So when you're saying eels, it's like, what are you where are you from? Oh, eels. Or you'll have kangaroos, or you'll have my grandfather is from Bubbenborough, which is, you can have trees as well. So I was from the bottle trees.
Yeah, right.
Which is, yeah, it's pretty amazing. So this whole area was all intermarriage, all from the Great Dividing Range out to the Bullbara Mountains, and where you get to the mountains towards Mackay.
Right, so it's a meeting place. So lots of quabberies and negotiations and things like that.
Yep,
Beautiful.
Definitely. Where my main tie goes through my father's father's father, because this is all patrilineal country here. So the men stay in the country and the women come from other places around the country. And so where, my grandfather comes from is where my great grandfather come from, is where my great grandfather, great however long you want to go back. It's hard to imagine, and it's hard to fathom, So it's a fight for, essentially it's a fight for land back. And I'm taking my land back by force, basically. I'm forcing the government to give it back, because since 2019, I've just been annexing blocks of property back, and here I am at Waranungu, and I've annexed the northern section of this mining lease. I've literally cut Adani half of his mining lease. So where the road is basically half of his mining lease to the north. So I've put signs up all the way along on the northern section, which look just like the signs across the road on their fence. And nobody comes in. So it's our territory. We've taken it back. There's 120 bird species here alone.
Wow.
Amazing. We have migrational birds that come from Malaysia. That come and nest here. How long have they been coming here for?
Well, I know a bit about the migrational birds and the nesting. That's super important as far as conservation status is concerned.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And it's such an important thing. Like there's a skink here that's endangered as well. There's also the black-throated finch here that's endangered as well. I still haven't been able to find one, being here the whole time, been looking around. So, and they're just threatening more and more habitat. and they think that they could just cordon off an area and make that an area for the birds to go to. And it's like, you idiots.
That's not how it works.
Exactly. If they wanted to go there, they would go there already. They have wings, they can fly. So
yeah.
everything just sounds so ludicrous, man. Like, and it's just a flagrant abuse of power that the government has done, that I've unraveled the strings of everything, but I've done it with a smile on my face. I've done it with, I've got you, because they know that they can't kick me off here now. They won't take me to court. Adani loves court, man. He's got lawyered up to the days. He's got some of the best lawyers in the country. You don't think they would have found a case already to get me off?
Well, there you go. That says a lot, doesn't it? A quick question.
I've checkmated them.
Obviously, this Adani mine is very important, but we're again zooming out a little bit. We've been talking a lot about the recent call from the Prime Minister of Australia to have a referendum and to basically push the Indigenous, or I call regional sovereign people, into the Constitution of Australia, which would mean that you're part of the Commonwealth. And if you're part of the Commonwealth, can you even claim land like this? Like can Adani just bulldoze through?
Yeah, exactly. Is this the last ditch effort of them trying to stem whatever I'm doing from happening? Because there's multiple fronts of what's happening, and you know about OSTF and what I'm doing here, and Jackie Kundu, and where we've rattled the government's boots. And what it done was it made the Liberal Party double down.
So
but
fix this real quick.
Through that, you got to see each party is just an opposite of each other. So if both parties are going to agree on this, what's really the underhanding of what's happening? What's the fine print of having a referendum? What essentially does that do? What do we lose and what do they gain? And what do we gain and what do they lose?
Well, because this report has got some theories on that. If you look at Agenda 21, they plan to vacate all land and move everyone into smart cities. You guys are the last stronghold on the land, really, because they're getting rid of the farmers. They already have a plan for the farmers. But you guys are the big thorn in their side for their big plan.
Oh yeah, man. Like honestly, this is a protected area, man. Like that Agenda 21, like it won't happen here because I've already let's say slapped the police with a human rights case already. So I've already got one strike against them already. 2 times is a pattern. And plus the chief of police that's in town here, he really likes me. You know what I mean? Like he likes what I'm doing. He wants, he stays away. He goes and stands under the flag and he waits for me to come down there. And I come down there to talk to him. I didn't speak to them for 3 months, bro. 3 months. When I got here, because I said to them, Ngaya Wadawidi, go and get yourself a translator. Ngaya Gara in the Wada. I can't speak to you.
Yeah.
And because by law, they got to go and get a translator.
Well, they're going to find one of those.
So they couldn't find one. So that wasn't my problem. You know what I mean?
Well,
but I said to them, as long as I'm the head of state out here, because I am here 100% of the time. Like I wake up at Wananangu every day, and so I'm afforded the right to speak my own language. And you wouldn't like I said to the inspector when he came here, you wouldn't expect Vladimir Putin to speak English just because you don't understand him.
That's right.
I said, I'm I'm the head of my state here.
Mm.
If you want to come to speak to me, go and get a translator and come and speak to me. But I guarantee you, there's no Aboriginal person that does speak language that is going to help help the police do that. And there's, even if there was someone that spoke language, you know what I mean? Like, what are they going to approach them? How are they going to do that? You know, I said to them, look, I know you can't get a witty translator, that's fine, but go and get a Biri or a Gungaloo language, because I can speak those two as well. I taught myself. And so they went off again, couldn't find anybody. And so this is the most safest place out of everywhere. There, COVID was going rampant. We were a safe haven. Nobody asked anything. You know, cops rocked up. One of them asked, "Oh, are you vax?" I said, "No." I'm like, brother, I've been in the bush this whole time. I don't give a shit about your vax. I didn't give a shit about anything. I'm out in the bush. I'm already social distancing, mate. Nothing.
So they can't even use
You know,
COVID on
like,
you. Yeah, because that's one thing that they're using for any excuse. They'll use those COVID
Yeah.
restrictions. Yeah.
That's it, you know. So like, this is a stronghold that the government no longer has, because I have captured the Queensland Police. I've captured the army. The government doesn't have a standover merchant now to come in and be the debt collector.
Well,
You know, so
unfortunately, Coodz, we're running out of time. I'm so sorry, but this is a great opportunity if you want to leave any last messages with our listeners at home. And it's been an absolute wonderful pleasure to have you on, of course.
No worries. Yeah, I think lasting message, I think really take into consideration, what did the 1967 referendum do for our people compared to what is this referendum going to do for our people, where we're still the most incarcerated people per capita in the world. We're still one of the lowest life expectancies in the world. And we have third world diseases. How does a referendum going to change that? How's referendum going to stop the destruction of sacred sites? Well, I want land back with self-determination, with autonomous zones. If a referendum includes that, sure, I'll be on it. But if it has nothing of that sort, then I don't want any part of it.
So treaty first, in other words.
Yeah, all on our terms.
Love it. Thank you so much, Coodz. Been a pleasure, mate. You're wonderful. We love your fight. We're with you 100%. Our hearts are with you. And if you'd like to come back on the show anytime, you're welcome.
No worries, brother. Cheers.
Thanks, mate.